All right, everybody. So, figured I'd make a nice recording on a spreadsheet that I made for SoundCheck. And of course, this covers all of the PBS Kids idents and the offering logos used for fan-made DVDs of Arthur's preschool years that would be distributed by Universal. Now, there will be quite a few differences between the DVDs of Curious George and the DVDs of Arthur's preschool years, the fan-made DVDs of Arthur's preschool years. First noticeable difference I'm going to explain is that even though DVDs of Curious George do not use any PBS Kids idents at all, the DVDs of Arthur's preschool years, on the other hand, will use PBS Kids idents, just like with the DVDs of the regular Arthur series from Sony Wonder, along with Dragon Tales and stuff like that. So yeah, the Arthur's preschool years DVDs will be one of the only instances released by Universal where you actually get to see PBS Kids idents on them. Another noticeable difference is that even though the Curious George DVDs only use the 2006 Deluxe Digital Studios sketch logo as an offering logo, the DVDs of Arthur's preschool years will use a wide variety of different offering logos depending on the year those DVDs will be released. So first off, we're going to talk about the PBS Kids idents and the year used. The PBS Kids idents and the year they used them on DVDs of Arthur's preschool years. Starting with the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident. In other words, where Dash the boy is thinking about something. Now, the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident will make its first appearance on the complete Season 1 DVD box set released on May 2nd, 2000. So, the PBS Kids Dash ident will be used on some Arthur's preschool years DVDs from May 2nd, 2000 to May 20th, 2008. So, May 2nd, 2000 will mark the day that the Dash ident will first be used on DVDs of Arthur's preschool years. And of course, the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident would come after the following. It would come either after the Season 1 funding with the grassy green checkered grid or yellow striped shirt backgrounds, the Season 2 funding with the yellow striped shirt background, the Seasons 3 to 5 funding with the Velveeta cheesy yellow background, or Velveeta cheesy yellow pizza triangle background, or whatever you want to call it, and the Season 6 to 9 funding with the Velveeta cheesy yellow pizza triangle background. These color backgrounds would be followed by the PBS Kids Dash ident from 1999 on those DVDs of Arthur's preschool years. Alright, now on to the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident. In other words, where Dot the girl is running up to the screen, and the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident will be used on DVDs from April 18th 2000 to May 27th, 2008. So, in other words, the dot ident will be the first one to appear on DVDs of Harper's Preschool Years, while the dash one would be the second. And of course, this would most commonly be used on DVDs from April 18th to October 31st, 2000. And it would occasionally appear along with the dash ident on some DVDs released November 2000 and onward, when the dash transformation ident from 2000 would be the most common ident to be used by then. And then, of course, the 2000. And then, of course, I'm going to tell you the color backgrounds would be followed by the dot ident. So for the dot ident, that will come right after the following: the season 1 funding with either the blueberry blue flower bed or striped strawberry red background, the season 2 funding with the blueberry blue flower bed background, the seasons 3 to 5 funding with the sky blue checkered grid background, or the season 6 to 9 funding with the sky blue checkered grid background. These color backgrounds would be followed by the PBS Kids dot ident for those DVDs. Alright, now moving on to the 2000 PBS Kids dash transformation ident, which will be used on DVDs from November 28th, 2000 to May 6th, 2008. And this will be the most common PBS Kids ident to appear on DVDs of Harper's Preschool Years, just like it is common with DVDs of the regular Harper series. Now, for the PBS Kids dash transformation ident, that will come after the following: the dash transformation ident will come either after the season 2 funding with the striped strawberry red background, the seasons 3 to 5 funding with the striped strawberry red background, or the season 6 to 9 funding with the striped strawberry red background. Except for season 1, which would have the 1999 dot ident follow the striped strawberry red background instead. Now, the dash transformation ident will appear more frequently than the other PBS Kids idents at the time. Making the dash transformation one the most common one to appear on Universal DVDs of Harper's Preschool Years. Alright, now we're going to move on to the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, the PBS Kids dash transformation ident has Dash the boy transforming into a caveman, scuba diver, and robot. Whereas the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident, on the other hand, has Dot the girl transforming into a tiger, octopus, and astronaut. And of course, the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident will appear on DVDs from December 12th, 2000 to May 13th, 2008. Now, this only applies for the last episode at the end of those DVDs, as there are a bunch of other episodes that could have other PBS Kids idents before the last episode starts. So just keep that in mind. We're only covering the last episode for those DVDs. So, the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident will appear on DVDs beginning from December 12th, 2000 to May 13th, 2008. And as for the color backgrounds that will have the PBS Kids dot transformation ident follow, it'll come either after the Season 2 funding with the grassy green checkered grid background, the Seasons 3 to 5 funding with the grassy green checkered grid background, or the Season 6 to 9 funding with the grassy green checkered grid background. So yeah, that's for the PBS Kids dot transformation ident. Now we'll go into the 2002 PBS Kids fishbowl ident, where Dash, the boy, looks inside of a fishbowl and then comes close to the fishbowl and imagines himself as an orange goldfish and then gets eaten by Dot. Now, the 2002 PBS Kids fishbowl ident will be used on Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs starting on April 16th, 2002 until April 29th, 2008. However, it'll not be as common as the Dash transformation ident is. The rest of those idents will not be as common as the Dash transformation one on those DVDs, especially after the last episode on them. And like the regular Arthur series, the series Arthur's Preschool Years will also have the PBS Kids fishbowl and snow globe idents fade in and out and say pbskids.org at the bottom left of the screen. And it will first be used on Season 3 of Arthur's Preschool Years on January 21st, 2002. The first episode of Season 3, Book Wars, will be the Season 3 premiere. That one will use the Snow Globe ident from 2002, which we'll talk about in a minute. While the first one to use the Fishbowl ident will be, of course, Prunella's Pet Goldfish, which is paired up with Buster the Bubble Blower, being the third episode of Season 2. Third episode of Season 3, I meant to say. The third episode of Season 3 would be Prunella's Pet Goldfish and, of course, Buster the Bubble Blower. And these episodes will be the first ones to use the Fishbowl ident. And as for Book Wars, that would be paired up with Arthur Makes a Snowman. Alright, that was the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident. And now we'll talk about the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident and when that will first appear on Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs. And of course, the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, on the other hand, it has Dash the boy. He is ice skating, and then he starts to feel the ground shake. And then eventually the camera zooms out to reveal that he is inside of a snow globe, which Dash's younger sister Dot is holding. Now, if you notice, Dash and Dot have blue skin in the snow globe ident instead of green. And of course, the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident will also fade in and out on those DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years, just like with the Fishbowl one. And by the way, the Fishbowl and Snow Globe idents would later be used in the regular Arthur series, beginning in Season 7 in October 2002, even though Season 3 of Arthur's Preschool Years will start when Cyber Chase premiered. And as for when the PBS Kids Snow Globe ident would appear on DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years, I'm going to have the PBS Kids Snow Globe ident make its first appearance on an Arthur's Preschool Years DVD release beginning on April 2nd, 2002. So 2 weeks before the Fishbowl ident will appear on Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs. So the first DVD with the Snow Globe ident will, of course, be Arthur's World of Books, released April 2nd, 2002, and it will continue to be used all the way up until April 15th, 2008. Despite that, the dash transformation ident from 2000 is still the most common PBS Kids ident at the time. Now I'm going to tell you the color backgrounds for the fishbowl and snow globe ident, starting with the fishbowl one. So the PBS Kids fishbowl ident will come either after the seasons 3 to 5 or the season 6 to 9 fundings with the striped cheddar cheese orange background. And as for the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, that will come after the seasons 3 to 5 or 6 to 9 fundings with the Concord Grape Jelly Purple checkerboard background. Alright. So, what does that mean in terms of PBS Kids idents for our first preschool years? Since the dash transformation one will be the most common, it'll appear on 9 out of 12 releases each year, beginning in 2001. While the others would appear on at least a few. Of course, it'll wane down to 7 appearances beginning in 2002 on Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs. After the last episode, that is. You know what? The dash transformation ident will be the most common ident, despite the other idents still being used occasionally. The dash transformation one will still be the most common, but the 1999 dot and dash idents, the dot transformation one, and the fishbowl and snow globe idents from 2002 will still make occasional appearances on there, even though the dash transformation one will still be the most common, just like with DVDs of the regular Arthur series. Alright. That was all the PBS Kids idents covered for Universal DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years. Now we're going to talk about all the offering logos. First off, we're going to start with DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years using the 1997 Digital Video Compression Center logo, which is, of course, the 1998 variant that says dvcc.com below it. And that will be used on Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs released from April 18th, 2000 to July 24th, 2001. So, from April 18th, 2000 to July 24th, 2001, DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years will use the completely still 1997 Digital Video Compression Center logo with the words DVD Production Services by Digital Video Compression Center. Now for the 2001 fully animated Digital Video Compression Center logo, that'll first be used on DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years beginning on August 21st, 2001, and it'll continue to be used as late as October 1st, 2002, which is also the same day Arthur It's Only Rock and Roll was released on DVD and VHS by Sony Wonder. And then, of course, now we're going to move on to the 2002 Deluxe Digital Studios Globe logo, which That Deluxe Digital Studios Globe logo will be used on Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs from October 22nd, 2002 until through January 18th, 2005. So, from October 22nd, 2002 to January 18th, 2005, the DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years will use the 2002 Deluxe Digital Studios Globe logo. Even though some Universal DVD releases from 2003 use the alternate still version of the Deluxe Digital Studios logo without any sound effects and without the white text reading production services, all of those DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years will use the fully animated version. Even on the 2003 releases of Arthur's Preschool Years, they would all still use the digitally animated version, even on all the 2003 releases of Arthur's Preschool Years. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some DVDs from Universal that also use the fully animated version on some releases, with the still version being used on others. But all DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years from 2002 to 2005 will use the fully animated version. Even on the 2003 releases, all of those will still use the fully animated version. See right there? All use the fully animated version. All right. Now we're going to talk about the 2005 Deluxe Digital Studios grid logo with the byline. And of course, the 2005 Deluxe Digital Studios grid logo with the byline reading "A Division of Deluxe Laboratories" will be used on DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years from February 1st to May 10th, 2005. So, from February 1st to May 18th, 2005, that's when all the Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs will switch over to using the 2005 Deluxe Digital Studios grid logo with the byline. And then we go into the 2005 Deluxe Digital Studios grid logo, which is the normal version of the Deluxe Digital Studios grid logo with no byline indicator whatsoever, in which the normal version of the Deluxe Digital Studios grid logo from 2005 will be used on DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years from May 31st, 2005, all the way up to August 29th, 2006. And then, of course, the 2006 Deluxe Digital Studios sketch logo will be used on DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years beginning on September 19th, 2006, up until the very last DVD release of Arthur's Preschool Years from May 27th, 2008. And beginning in November 2006, that's when DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years will contain a bonus episode of Curious George at the end, as all the releases from April 2000 to October 2006 go straight to the Deluxe Digital Studios logo right after Arthur's Preschool Years is over. But beginning in November 2006, they'll add a bonus Curious George episode on there after Arthur's Preschool Years is over. So yeah, and then after the bonus Curious George episode, that's when we get to see the 2006 Deluxe Digital Studios sketch logo on them, beginning in November 2006. That's when the Curious George episodes will be used. Well, releases with the sketch logo from September to October will just go straight to that logo right after Arthur's Preschool Years is over. And one more thing to talk about, the 1998 Macrovision Quality Protection logo, which will be used on a grand majority of Arthur's Preschool Years DVD releases, from April 18th, 2000 to March 27th, 2007. Now, this is a big improvement over those Curious George DVDs, which only used the 2006 Deluxe Digital Studios logo and only had the Macrovision logo on one DVD release of the TV series. So yeah, unlike the Curious George DVDs, which only had one DVD used the Macrovision logo and only had the 2006 Deluxe Digital Studios sketch logo as an offering logo, Arthur's Preschool Years is a much better improvement because you get a whole lot of Arthur's Preschool Years DVDs using the Macrovision logo, and you get other versions of the Deluxe Digital Studios logo besides the sketch one, including the grid version with and without the bylines, and the 2002 Globe version of the Deluxe Digital Studios logo as well. And the first two Digital Video Compression Center logos in addition. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the spreadsheet of the PBS Kids idents and offering logos that'll be used on fan-made Universal DVDs of Arthur's Preschool Years. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it.